Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Intentwise Connect. Today, I have a bunch of folks from my team, and we were all at unBoxed, which is Amazon's marquee event of the year around advertising. We were all at unBoxed last week in New York City. In today's episode, we are going to get, learnings, points of view from my team members. To begin with, I'll let them introduce themselves. Alan, if you want to go first.
Sure, Alan Ostek, Chief Commercial Officer of Intentwise.
Ryan.
Ryan Burgess, Growth Strategist at Intentwise.
Jason.
Jason Chan. I am the Customer Success and Product Evangelist of Intentwise.
And the one and only.
And I'm Sarah Johnson. I'm the Content Director at Intentwise.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you all. Yeah, honestly, it was quite the week. I was actually there the whole week. And I think I averaged like 15,000 steps a day, which is good, right? So
only in New York.
Only New York, that's right. But yeah, let's dive in. I'd love to get your thoughts. What stood out, and what interesting conversations have you had? Alan, if you want to kick us off.
Yeah, so Srinath and I had gone to the Cannes Advertising Festival back in June, which I look at, is probably the largest global tentpole event for the advertising industry. And Amazon had a massive presence in Cannes, France for the first time. And both Srinath and I thought, hey, they're really leading in on trying to become, an advertiser's partner. Well, I think this was like phase 2 of that, where, the event's in New York City, there's lots of brands, agencies, advertisers, sellers at the event, and they put on a show. They're really starting to become quite impressive. They remind me of the old Google or Facebook, so to speak, in terms of their ability to, at scale, reach audiences, in particular audiences who spend a lot of money on Amazon. So that's my comment to start.
Alan, you think this was bigger than Cannes as far as Amazon is concerned?
Absolutely. Well, so at Cannes, all the major players are there. It's not just an Amazon event, obviously, or
True.
It's not even a retail media event. It's an overall advertising event. And this event, when I saw this event in New York last week, I thought to myself, next year they're going to go at CES. I'm sure they're going to go even bigger and better. And I'm sure next year at Cannes, actually, I talked to a few of their folks, and without giving anything away, they're definitely going to expand their footprint in Cannes next year as well. So they're definitely stepping up their game.
What were they focused more on Cannes?
Well, Cannes was the beginning of the Amazon Marketing Cloud journey, where they were just starting to introduce it. It had been in the news, and that was one of the bigger topics. Well, clearly this last week in New York, we saw it's front and center. If you think about, I always think about we're moving into a cookieless world, which is an advantage to Amazon because of their first-party data set. We're moving into a world where Google or Facebook doesn't have path to purchase all the way to the end purchase, and Amazon does. And scale, with Twitch and even the NFL TV rights to Thursday Night Football, the 10-year deal they just did, they have access to 130 million viewers across their in video across their platforms. So now, and a massive trove of data about all of us. So I think they're at scale now.
Yeah. When I was trying to draw everything in a map and trying to figure out, hey, what's Amazon trying to communicate? And it was a lot of data, right? We have AMC and AMS, not too long ago, but mostly AMC with the different signals and insights they were trying to include within AMC, but also the distribution. And I didn't realize they have, what do you call it, IMBD, right? What do you want to watch now, right?
Right.
They have Whole Food, the display ads. They have Twitch, music events, freebie, and NFL. All these different distribution channels to really focus on. Another part was non-Amazon sellers, to give them an avenue to advertise and distribute the data.
And to use Prime now to although it was announced like a month ago, but they again reiterated you can now use Prime even if you're not selling on Amazon and you're a DTC seller. So
You know,
that's buy with Prime, you meant. Yeah.
buy with Prime. I'm sorry, buy with Prime. Yeah.
Amazon talked a lot about reach, and I think all of those different distributions and those channels that they've added, all of those audiences is really important. But I think what really stuck out to me is how much Amazon focused on measurement this year. Something that we don't hear a lot from Amazon about. They've routinely held that data really close to their chest. There was one statistic that I thought was really interesting that they shared at the conference. They said 77% of advertisers are planning for a cookie-free world, yet only 10% believe that the current measurement options are sufficient. It's a huge gap. And I think through AMC and some of the other things that Amazon has been releasing recently, they're aware of that. And they're trying to take actions now to provide that missing component to measurement that you can't get even from Google or Facebook. And that's really going to set them apart as they come to take market share away from those companies.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, actually. And so 77% believe that we are headed to cookieless, and only 10% believe in the current infrastructure's ability to measure things.
That's what Amazon shared. Yeah, only 10% believe that current measurement options are sufficient without cookies. So, you know, Amazon's aware of this, and I think they've taken steps to try to enable their advertisers, and whether you sell on Amazon or not, to be able to connect those dots. And through Buy with Prime and all of these other initiatives that they're launching, they're trying to connect that purchase journey across the web.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sarah, this is your first Amazon conference. Well, you were at Prosper. I guess that is kind of an Amazon conference, but Amazon hosted conference this is your first time, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, I mean the scale of the conference, I think, I don't know what exactly I was expecting in terms of size, but you know, definitely in terms of just the amount of sessions and people, and you know, a fantastic concert, which we should definitely talk about. But yeah, I think the scale definitely was something that stood out for me, for sure.
Yeah, I kept saying, who are killers? And Sarah kept saying, like, I sent you the song, you need to listen to that song. I sent you the song, you need to listen to that song. In fact, in a cab ride to that conference, to that concert, she played the song, and I was like, oh yeah, I know those guys.
Right, I was right. Yeah, you knew them. Yeah.
I was surprised. Killers cuts across multiple age groups, which I thought was great.
Yeah, and then Alan was in front row without earplugs. That's
it got a little loud at the end.
Yeah, to me, like what just fascinates me is how when you have a crystal clear strategy that helps you build a compounding moat and advantage on competition over a long stretch of time, right? So I mean, think about what Prime is doing. Like Prime membership connects a lot of these things. So even NFL, I think you need a Prime account to view, right? Prime is in the middle of all of this, and it stitches it all together. And that single master stroke taken a long time ago, and it just has given them such a strategic advantage over time, right? And it is at the core of tying together all interactions of a shopper with Amazon. And to me, that's just fascinating, and then from just in terms of call outs at the conference, what was interesting to me, and for the audience, I used to work at Orbitz, the online travel company running performance marketing. So I was I fall into the non-endemic advertiser bucket. And for the first time, they're going to expose sponsored display to non-endemic. Now, non-endemic advertisers could advertise already in DSP, but now you could do that through sponsored display as well. So, reaching advertisers that don't necessarily sell on Amazon. And Ryan and a bunch of you have made this point: the emphasis and measurement and optimization. I believe we have reached this inflection point, and to me, it was this culmination of what you've been seeing from them throughout the year, right? They started to share more and more data through Seller Partner API. Ads API has always been publishing more and more data. You saw Amazon Marketing Stream come by. Vendors that are listening may think, hey, Amazon is sharing less, because I think some of the vendor central reports are have less data and is a lot less accessible. My sense is that you will get a lot more data through their APIs. But broadly speaking, Amazon is sharing more and more, especially programmatically. And then you saw at unBoxed that measurement and optimization across all their assets is a real key theme. And yes, it's Amazon Marketing Cloud, Amazon Marketing Cloud, Amazon Marketing Cloud. It's like the center of their universe,
What's most amazing to me is the measurement part, and AMC is starting to come, kind of to front and center of the value it's going to bring. Where, I've been in advertising for 20 plus years, and people have talked about for at least 20 plus years. You see a TV commercial, and for, let's say, a brand like Snickers or any other brand, and then tomorrow, if I walk into a store and buy a Snickers bar, the advertiser doesn't really know. Well, you now have, I could be watching Thursday Night Football and see a Snickers commercial, and the next day walk into an Amazon store and do a scan with my phone on my Amazon app. Or I heard today, which I didn't know, you can actually scan, you can do palm scans, which is a little interesting. It's almost like Minority Report and Tom Cruise doing retina scans. But they know the next day, that eventually within AMC, you're going to be able to do attribution and direct to purchase reporting and analysis on individuals across their entire property set. And that's not just theoretical, that's real. They have the technology to do it.
Yeah. I was reading somewhere, like with NFL rights, like they could actually change your viewing experience,
Right.
Putting a chip in each player's jersey and like tracking where they're going using AWS to execute all that, get stats and, that you never got before. And then all the way up to, like you said, like,
how long is it going to be till you can click and buy the player's shirt that just scored the touchdown?
That's right.
With so much data points, I'm like thinking how, it's going to be challenging, right? There's again AMC data. There is so many insights. There's subscription types that you can add to it, right? You can layer on your custom data points. AMS, you have your APIs, you have your reports they could download. There is just so much data available. What I heard from I think Crystal AMC mentioned is that they're trying to maybe give us more friendly reports for those who are not DBAs, right? You don't know how to write SQLs. It's just really finding a way of normalizing all the different data sets. I think that's going to be a big challenge. Like where are you going to look for the data?
Yeah,
and Jason.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jason. Like the funny thing is the gap in leveraging data has existed in every industry you can think about, right? Mm-hmm. Analytics services firms are still growing by 20-30% every year for a reason. And then when you have a behemoth like Amazon that spits out tons and tons of data, that just compounds the problem. Mm-hmm. It's also interesting, like the way, your interface to Amazon Marketing Cloud is to write SQL. The interesting thing about that is, I'm sure you have friends or family members at Amazon. Internally, if you're able to write SQL, you can get a lot more out of the data is available to you at Amazon. So SQL is a skill that people want to learn, certainly inside Amazon. And now with AMC, now it's become a need for everybody else, because that's the only way you can access AMC. But to your point though, like we have had I personally had a number of conversations with Amazon just prior to unBoxed getting kicked off. And they're very aware of this problem, and they want to be working with partners like ours to kind of bridge that gap through education, through additional tools. And we'll see a lot of that over the next few months, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think brands really need to prepare for the resources required to take advantage of AMC. Like you've been saying, it's not as simple as it sounds to be able to go in and pull that data. You really have to think about what answer you're trying, or what question you're trying to answer. What is the data point you're looking for, and how do you actually go out and retrieve that? And nobody is immune to that. I think it was PepsiCo who was on the stage with Amazon and sharing all of the challenges that even they had as such an enterprise brand, getting the resources dedicated to AMC and building out these queries. So while Amazon has such a large focus on, hey, here's all of this information, here's all this data, it's not that easy. Brands still have to really consider all of the different variables and where they're going to get the time and resources to be able to utilize that data. Because now that it's available, your competition is definitely taking advantage of it.
It's almost like I was on another podcast earlier today with an agency owner, and I kind of went out on a limb and basically said, look, over the next 12 to 24 months, the ad execution, there'll be a lot of automation and all of that, but as agencies, you may have to become analytics experts and kind of strategy partners, and ad execution is a piece of that, right? So it may put a certain pressure on how, even agencies think about their business going forward, but it's also a great opportunity, to be honest, I think.
Yeah, I think Srinath, to your point, like when we look at the 400 or 500 plus Amazon agency partners, the certified Amazon agency partners, they're going to start to take different flavors. Some might be more creative oriented, some might be more media focused, and others might be more analytical focused. We see that in our client base already. And some might even be more AMC focused and go really heavy data analytics and data analysis.
Talking about creative, Sarah, I'm sure you'll have a point of view on this. There's just a lot that was presented around creatives, right? So I netted it out as they're going to make it much easier for brands to access creative resources. But perhaps you have a deeper point of view on that.
Yeah, I mean, video continues to be huge. Video seems to be just where the future of the internet is going. But I think they launched the ability to basically connect brands better to people who can help them create creative assets. So they've launched, and I'm forgetting now the exact name of this platform, but basically like templates that allow brands to create like templated videos for their advertisements, as well as a place to connect them to creative professionals that can do more in-depth kind of videos too. So I think that those two indicate to me that there's definitely like a leaning in even more so into that video realm.
Yeah, I think also, with video and also with other content, Amazon announced a lot of new contextual based content serving, and also where those ads will appear. So you have the ability to quickly create your content with those templates, and also those templates will change automatically based on when the ad is being served and to who, which is really cool.
Yeah, so lots of creatives, lots of distribution, tons and tons of measurement and optimization opportunities. Did I miss any other big theme?
There's definitely a theme that's progressing on Amazon using partner networks.
Oh yeah,
whether it be agencies, tech partners like ourselves, and building more of a network for training and education for all of us, actually internally building out their teams to interact with us so that they can, quite honestly, then grow faster and distribute and educate faster.
Yeah, I mean, they had a full day before the main event started for partners. And then we've been working with Amazon for quite some time. And honestly, the level of support we get today is just very different from what it has traditionally been. But yeah, so that's a huge emphasis. And they've done a lot of things this year, but looks like they have planned to do a whole lot more in terms of supporting the partner ecosystem. What's also interesting, talking about partners, Alan, for me was, you've known the traditional players that were heavy on ad optimization, right? And that included us. But you're kind of starting to see a bunch of new names because the tool sets and the solutions needed are now different, So if you look at the list of partners that are certified, for example, on AMC, you'll see some names that you've never seen before. So, it's a fluid, changing landscape of partners is what I feel like. Yeah. I would say, so I don't know if it happened to you, but a bunch of clients or prospects have reached out saying, hey, I missed out registering for the event. Can you get me in? Stuff like that. Well, first of all, just note to the audience, just book early. My sense is you're going to have a much larger crowd, assuming Amazon wants to take on that crowd, just because, like, with the distribution and different kinds of advertisers coming into play for Amazon, I just think the numbers and the size of this event is going to go up. The other thing I'll point out is that perhaps this is Andrew Jesse taking over as CEO. AWS is increasingly in the mix with advertising. Okay? I mean, until perhaps beginning of the year, they were kind of distinct entities. Honestly, my light bulb went off about, hey, these guys are actually unifying this when I saw a slide at Cannes in one of the meetings with Amazon. It's like AWS, Redshift, and all these marketing tools in one stack. And then you see, oh, this is where they're going, So there is more tighter integration with AWS. So all that put together, my sense is it'll be a larger event probably next year. I certainly think there was a benefit of just walking around and knowing somebody everywhere. And you could actually have conversations. I'm curious to see what happens when you have a much, much larger crowd.
There was definitely a ton of demand for this conference. And I think that was evident when we were all lined up to watch the AMC webinar. We were all crammed and outside the doors, and there was standing room only. I think we've been waiting as advertisers and agencies for so long to have access to this type of learnings and insights. So especially as Amazon enables us to spend more money on new channels and new areas that are never been available before, the measurement is going to be so important, and learning and connecting with Amazon and the partners is even more important.
Any other closing comments, team? I will say, we are a 100% remote working company. So conferences are where we get to meet our teammates. So that was huge added bonus, right? So
seemed like everybody in the Amazon
true
community was there. Yeah.
True.
And it was great to, of course, see the rest of the Intentwise team.
Absolutely. And I also, and the other thing that's going to happen is that there's some very critical takeaways that will influence our own investment priorities and roadmap going forward. So there's work cut out for us. But thank you for joining today. This was pretty awesome. Great recap. And to the audience, until next time, we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.